Four Midwest Guys presents...
Hello, Master. It's been a while.
The name's Rex. We call him Fives. I'm Eddie. This is Echo. I'm Commander Cody.
Sir, yes, sir!
The Wars Command.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Four Midwest Guys Presents the Clone Wars Command. I'm your host, B. Willie, and with me, he's back, Mr. Brian Eckenbauer.
Hey, what's up? Glad to be back, man.
Oh, man, you aren't kidding, man.
We took a week off.
Yeah, it was. It's difficult to do these things by myself.
It is a struggle to do by myself.
It is.
But you did all right. I watched.
I appreciate that. I do, but it is. I'm more than happy to have you back, trust me. So we're going to do something a little different this time. We're going to show you where you can find us real quick, like on social media and stuff like that real quick. So for those of you out there wondering where to find us, if you end up liking this episode, you want to find more episodes, different podcasts and whatnot that we do, your one-stop shop is ForMidwestGuys.com. You can also find us on Facebook, Facebook.com/ForMidwestGuys, on Twitter @ForMidwestGuys. Brian, they can find you where?
At AnkZone.
And that's on Stardust as well as Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on Twitter and Stardust at BWillie1977. You can find us we're on Instagram as well. That's the number 4_Midwest_guys. Good old-fashioned email, ForMidwestGuys@gmail.com. And you can kind of see a pattern here. It's pretty much Four Midwest Guys, right? So even when you search on YouTube, you just type in Four Midwest Guys right now, and it'll bring up our page. So best place to go is the number one stop is the website.
Yep.
And
you can also find us on all of our audio stuff as well.
Yes, audio on the website, like Podbean, our Apple Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, all that. Follow, like, and subscribe all the way across the board. We're really pushing YouTube right now, by the way. So we're trying to get to 100 for our first 100. We're kind of new to YouTube. So make sure that you follow, like, and subscribe on there. Hit the little like, I think it's the bell and the subscribe button, so that you get alerted to every time we put something new on YouTube. Plus, like us, and that helps us as well.
Right, that way we can get our we can do YouTube /4 Midwest Guys. Because right now we got the generic 17-digit code after YouTube. So we want to have our own custom 4 Midwest Guys YouTube page.
However, in the meantime, you can just search for Midwest Guys for now. And the other thing we just added that's brand new is the fan voicemail line. That you can, if you dial 1-859-363-5952, you can leave a voicemail. We just ask you to leave what's your name, where you're from, and we'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. If it's about the Clone Wars, leave us a Clone Wars message. If it's about the Star Trek Picard or the new XFL Weekly AnkZone show, leave yourself a message there about those shows. And if we really like the voicemail, guess what? You'll get put on the next show. So if you really want your voice to literally be heard out there, this is the way to do it.
Newsflash, you could be on the show. 859-363-5952.
Thank you, Tom Kane, for that. All right, so let's get into today's episode. Season 7, Episode 2, A Distant Echo. This is Echo. This is the second episode in the Bad Batch arc. So let's get into it. So right off the bat, there's a little scene at the very beginning, and it's Anakin and Rex kind of going back and forth. We got to do that thing. No, we don't. What thing?
Yeah. Do we want to go in the ship and wait for the orders to go? No, we got to go do that thing.
What thing?
Yeah, we got to do that. We got that thing. Oh, that thing.
That thing. We don't have time for that thing. Yeah, we do. It's a little bit of a what I thought was turning into a Brokeback Mountain moment between the two. But in reality, it's actually Rex covering for his friend, for Skywalker to go talk to Padme. Mm-hmm. So he kind of takes his helmet, goes into their barracks, and he's talking to her while he's standing guard, looking out for Kenobi.
Right.
Or anybody else for that matter. I think this scene, as well as the rest of the episode, really shows a more personal side between Skywalker and Rex, where before the rest of the episodes up till now, it's just been kind of like a trust and battle. But I think this shows like an actual personal friendship between the two, and they're actually pretty close, it turns out. So I don't know. What'd you think about the whole, Rex covering for Skywalker and all that?
I mean, it just seemed like something that they would do. based on the fact that they've continually worked together over and over, it just seems like something they would do. And at first, you can't really tell if it's he's just telling him to do it, and that's why he's doing it, or if it's he's doing it by friendship. Like later on, we find out, during his conversation with Padme, and he's like, "I worry that he's doing it on his feelings, blah blah." And he's like, "Well, you can tell he's worried about him."
Right.
Like before that, he was just like, "We gotta do that thing."
Yeah.
Okay, well, give me your helmet.
It's like orders.
Yeah. And you couldn't tell. So.
Yeah. That there's and Padme kind of throws it back at Anakin. He's like, "Well, I wonder where he learned that from." Going on your feelings and that also shows Anakin still thinks he could save everybody by himself.
Right.
And
he's like, sorry, we're still here.
Yeah.
And she's like, did you think you were just going to go there and just end it by yourself in one day?
Yeah.
He really did.
Yeah.
It's like, did you see Rogue One?
I think he has these. His biggest downfall to the dark side is his attachments. We know that from episode 3. Yoda's like, learn to lose those you love. He can't do that, and it's still very evident.
Well, because he feels that he's better than everybody else, and he doesn't have to do that.
Right, and that
he's like, I can save anybody. Anytime. I can still save anybody, and I can have my connections.
Yeah. So, overly confident is his weakness, amongst other things, including his heart.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell, though, that this is before Revenge of the Sith, but it does show a hint, though, in this hologram that Padme is pregnant. I mean, she's holding her stomach the whole time. There's a little bit of a baby bump there, ever so slight, but it's there. My question was, how does Anakin not sense it or see it? I don't know. Maybe he's just so focused on the battle.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, that's probably what it was, because... his mind's not in that kind of spot.
Yeah.
It's more so in the battle, and then Padme's, just talking to her, so he's not really paying attention.
Yeah. I also realized that this battle is when we get to Revenge of the Sith, and he first sees Padme and says, "I never thought we'd make it back from the outer siege rim battles." This is it. This is what he's talking about. So. We may only be timeline-wise, maybe weeks, maybe a month or so to weeks away from Revenge of the Sith actually starting and happening. That's how close we are.
But didn't you say that this was supposed to take place during the same time?
Yeah, it's
going to overlap.
It's going to overlap by the time we get to the last arc.
Yeah, so that's kind of that would make sense.
Yeah, so that we're that close.
Mm-hmm.
So, and just real quick on the. I
don't know. How long was Revenge of the Sith?
How long?
Yeah.
Time-wise in the Star Wars timeline?
Not like how long was the movie? Like how long time frame was?
Actual movie minutes?
Yeah. As in we're it's not years.
No, it's probably a week, if that.
Revenge of the Sith is only a week?
If that.
Okay.
It's a couple days to a week.
Because I was going to say, if she's barely showing in this, that means that it's not overlapped by a lot.
Yeah, I mean, by the time we get to the Revenge of the Sith, she's wearing bigger clothes to hide an actual pregnancy by that point. So you're right. That could mean maybe we're
a little further away.
Maybe 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So, actually, probably longer than that. Now I think about it. But
just trying to help you.
Thank you, appreciate that. So let's talk about the Bad Batch ship real quick, just because I think it's cool looking.
Oh, it is badass.
It is badass looking. I think
the Bad Batch badass ship.
The Bad Batch badass ship. It's a mixture of a TIE fighter meets Imperial shuttle, maybe even a little bit of X-wing in the cockpit. It's just I don't know. I want that as a Lego ship, or I want that as a ship to play with.
Yeah, well, what is funny is I looked at it and I was like, it reminds me of the ship that they used to get in Return of the Jedi to get onto Endor.
Yeah, that's the Imperial shuttle.
Yeah, that's what it kind of looked like. But it also you're right. That's the whole extra wings. Yeah, almost looks like a Defender.
A Defender, yeah, it's got that whole TIE fight, the TIE fighter,
the TIE fighter
skin,
Defender,
yeah, to it. It's just badass looking, in my opinion. It's like taking the Imperial shuttle to the next level.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, and then the inside was more of a shuttle. It wasn't.
Yeah,
because it had two.
The cockpit,
two seats in the
cockpit, and then it expanded as it went back.
Yeah.
So it's more of looks more like a starfighter than.
And it was big. It was big enough for what's his name?
Yeah. Wrecker.
Record.
He's bench pressing some big piece of material. Or,
No, it was the droid.
was it the droid he was bench pressing?
He was bench pressing one of those the 2-foot droid. The really famous one. The clunky one.
The Gonk droid?
Yes.
Is that what that was?
Yes.
I didn't even pay attention.
Yes.
So. Okay. So I just thought it was cool. I thought we pointed it out real quick just because I think it's a badass little ship. What are you pointing to?
I was pointing to
The ship?
the ship.
Oh, okay.
But I went like this.
Yeah, I was like, where are you going? It's hard when everything's in reverse.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only other thing we really find out while they're on the ship, though, is that the Bad Batch doesn't report to anybody.
Yeah, they really don't have anybody to report to.
Which is kind of strange. So are they like the A-Team? Are they mercenaries for hire? Or are they just this incredibly special elite force that nobody wants to work with because they're so hard to work with, maybe?
That could be, or it could be that they do report to somebody, and we'll find out later down the road.
That is because they seem to do only like the hardest suicide type missions and things like that. So, all right, let's move on to the attack. The attack of the Poltex. I actually was able to pronounce something for once.
Nice.
So the Poltex are the primitive native species on this Skator minor planet where Tamor, Wat, and the rest of them are. Or Wat Tamor, sorry.
Yeah.
Reverse that. But they're very good at flying on these like bat-like creatures. In
Yeah, they call them flying lizards.
flying lizards, yeah. They even worship them, apparently.
It reminds me of Avatar.
Yes, Avatar would be a very good way of looking at it, a good example. The creatures themselves, the way they're animated, remind me of the Mortis trilogy when the sun transforms into the dark side bat or whatever it is. They kind of look like that. It's a good little battle that kind of takes place between them and the Bad Batch. Skywalker meets the Poltex, so to speak. I love how Crosshair says he's going for a ride when he uses the grappling hook and literally catches a ride and they're trying to swing him back and forth. Kind of Mandalorian-esque, kind of, in a way. I really enjoyed that, so I thought that was good. And it also, the whole fighting thing kind of proves that the Bad Batch work very well with Anakin Skywalker's style of fighting. Very unorthodox,
very fluid,
very aggressive. And I would say if not for the Bad Batch and their fighting skills, I'd say that it probably would have gone a lot worse, I think.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know.
I mean, Skywalker found a way eventually.
But I think originally they were going to do like a peace kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it turned.
Yeah.
It turned because of the Bad Batch. Like it turned.
You think they were overly aggressive?
Yes.
Yeah. That could be. But after negotiations, eventually they decided to show him the way to the city.
Yeah. What he told him, he goes, "Well, I'll take the war away from here.
Yeah.
And we'll never come back."
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Okay, we'll take you to the city."
Yeah. It's like because you brought your war here, we don't want anything to do with it. Next scene we get the warning from General Trench. He warns.
It still bothers me that it's a spider.
He's a spider. I think it's cool.
And it's like, yeah.
I think it's cool. I don't know why. What? I think it's very Star Wars-esque, and I love. He's been blown up twice, and every time he comes back with more robotic parts. He comes back more as a robot spider than he does a real spider. So he warns Wat Tamor that the Bad Batch are coming. And speaking of good old Wat Tamor,
Earthworm Jim.
If you remember or not, he's the leader of the Techno Union, who told Count Dooku as he was messing with his voice box, he was going, "We will sign your treaty, Count." That's him. In Attack of the Clones way back then. And yet somehow, even though they've signed a treaty with the Separatists, they somehow yet maintain their business neutrality in the war. I don't know how the hell that works.
Yeah, me.
This is just like the banking clan we find out who signed the same damn treaty, and they're neutral and they were funding both sides of the war at one point. I don't know. What do you think about the whole duality of this, Hank? I don't know.
Well, it's kind of weird that you sign a treaty with one side,
yeah,
but it works for the both sides.
Yeah, and they're neutral, supposedly neutral.
Well, they're neutral on the same token that they also keep him Echo captive. But,
right, but they bought him.
Yeah,
supposedly.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah. But I don't know. I guess it just pays to have a Sith Lord on each side of the war.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. Also, Tamor is all about business when it comes to human life. Speaking of which, because when he says to Rex later, your friend Echo's dead, but we own his mind. Mm-hmm. So like it's our piece of property. We bought him. Even though it's a human life essentially. So let's move on to It's a Trap, or well, it could be.
It's a trap.
So they get led to the city, and kind of like B.A. Baracus, Wrecker's we find that's the one that's afraid of heights.
Well, he's not afraid of heights. It's just the higher he goes, he's afraid of gravity.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I'm not really afraid of anything.
Yeah, I'm not even afraid of heights. It just happens to be that the higher I go, it's just I kind of worry about gravity.
I got this problem with gravity. But anyway, I was just like, okay, that's taken straight out of the A-Team. Except at least he actually confronts it, where they had to knock BA out. Or something.
Yeah.
The Bad Batch ends up suggesting that the signal, because they lose it, they could be a trap. It could actually be a trap, and Crosshair, here comes the aggressiveness again, accuses Rex of letting his personal feelings get in the way. Mm-hmm. Because, well, yeah, I think he even accused him, goes even further, that, I bet you left him for dead. And it doesn't matter, though, because he's just another reg.
Right.
Which sets Rex off.
Sets Rex off, which is, you can tell us how deeply he's involved in this. He's like, no, he's alive. He's alive. I can tell, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then we do get back, and he's like, well, I guess it could be he's alive, because it could be I'm only getting the signal when he's transmitting.
Right.
It's not a constant beacon. And they're like, oh, okay, let's go find him then.
You're right. Yeah, the
crisis averted.
Yeah, well, Skywalker has to step in, and you guys go on. I'll talk to him alone.
Yeah,
and he does. He goes. You have to admit the possibility Echo's dead, but Rex goes on and goes. I've lost a lot of guys, but I heard his voice. I just how. And he goes, well, you got to be prepared for it. He says, if it ends up being that way, I'll deal with it then, but I have to know. Essentially.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the attack on Tamor City. So much for stealth right off the back, right? Wrecker kind of steams right into combat, and we see a new kind of battle droid. So instead of the typical B-series Roger Rogers, we get what's called a D-Wing battle droid. Apparently it's according to the internet, a variant of the B-series battle droid, an exclusive experiment by the Techno Union. These droids have built-in blasters, so instead of carrying a blaster, it's built into their actual arms or whatever. Mm-hmm. They're different looking. They have a different looking head, and apparently they can fly. We don't see that in this episode, but apparently they can fly. Apparently they can fly.
But they threw them off the building, and the other one goes, "Why?"
I don't know.
Maybe they all can fly, but maybe it's
certain ones can, certain ones can't. Their programming, however, seems to be similar to the B series as far as we don't really hear them say "Roger, Roger" necessarily, but their actions would.
But they do have that. They do have that dumb, like idiotic responses to things, like when they kicked off the thing, and it's like, "Why?" Like, is that you? What are you're surrounded. Give up. Like like.
It's stupidity. Yeah. The humor is still there. Against Skywalker and the Bad Batch are, to me, just make a great team. They knock out these D-Wing battle droids right and left, even though there's, I don't know, thousands of them. There are hundreds of them at least that they're battling. And I gotta be honest, it's too bad there just isn't more time in the Clone Wars, because I think it would have been cool to see Skywalker team up with these guys more often.
On a couple missions?
Yeah, different missions, different scenarios, especially the really hard missions and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Especially with the way Skywalker's attitude is and the way theirs are. It really mashes up, It could have gotten very interesting, I think, anyway. I don't know. What do you think about that, B? Think it'd been cool to see more, or
I mean, always want to see more.
Yeah.
But like with this, I didn't watch a lot of the first several seasons of this, so it's like, I'm not as vested as you are.
Right.
So I still am like
catching
up, kind of, if you will, in this. So I'm not as vested in the Rex character as you are. Mm-hmm. I know who Anakin is, but I've seen all the movies.
Right.
And so I can follow that part, but the Rex part.
Right.
I've seen him in
Rebels.
Yeah. The same as in here.
Right. Much older.
And I saw him on Return of the Jedi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In his cameo.
Retro.
Yeah.
Retro.
You know, I've seen that kind of stuff, but I haven't seen any really in depth of the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind seeing it expanded more.
Yeah.
Just for that aspect, that I haven't seen anything, and I'd much rather see an expansion of what I'm watching now as opposed to watching stuff that happened before.
Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah, I just think the way that Anakin approaches battle is pretty much the same way they do, but I also think that Anakin's dark side tendencies and would be interesting to see those played out with these guys along his side, so to speak. But I don't know what could have been, I guess. Anyway, so let's move on to Echo's chamber, which I don't know about you, but this whole this is how I kind of felt when I saw the actual room that he's in.
Mm-hmm.
It's very like the whole Tamor culture. They're very. It's like steampunk meets Star Wars meets Frankenstein. At least when we get to the whole room, I think you described it a little differently. I think there you brought up something else. Right?
Well, yeah, I mean, like his actual pod itself is like Captain America's.
Yeah, when he comes
So,
out.
yeah, when he like based on like what was it, the 50s, 60s?
Yeah, like the 50s.
Yeah, so he had was that one tube with the one porthole to look inside.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it kind of reminded me of. There was that, and then the room kind of reminded me of basically the same way. Mm-hmm. Like in Captain America, they're all in that circular room around the one pod.
Yeah. Yeah, in the giant things with the electricity going off, I was like, oh, that's straight up Frankenstein, you know, and just even the controls just have a very steampunkish, the round glasses that Tamor wears, everything's very kind of, it's just kind of a cool thing to have in Star Wars, really. I'd like to see more of it, really. When they get Echo first out, he's obviously half frozen, and but he's attached to the system in his head. He's got, cybernetic implants, kind of Borgish, if you will, from Star Trek, and he's got robotic legs. Maybe a little bit of foreshadowing of the Vader suit kind of come. You know how you see Anakin when he takes off his helmet.
Yeah, but it does give you this sense of like how much they can take away from somebody and still preserve them.
Right, actually keep them in some sort of form.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the end, he does recognize Rex, and you came back for me, and that's pretty much where we leave off for this episode. Brian, what's your final thoughts and grades there, my friend, on Season 7, Episode 2, A Distant Echo?
It was short, but that's the way all these seem to be.
Yeah.
I really liked the ship.
Yes.
The ship was really cool.
Yeah.
Using the Bad Batch, I was telling you, I really like their helmet designs, except for Wrecker. I don't really care for his design, but the rest of them I kind of like. They're like the one that has the bullseye, the one has. I kind of like that, but overall, I'd give it a. How are we grading this? Graded against what?
All right, I tell you what. Let's use. We'll use a scale of 1 to 10 lightsabers.
1 to 10 lightsabers.
Yeah.
What am I grading it against? Like, am I grading against Rebels? Am I grading against the movies or against other episodes of Clone Wars?
You grade it however you feel, whatever you felt like. It's your personal opinion.
Okay, in the grand scheme of things, I graded a three lightsabers.
Ooh, okay, low.
Very low.
Too much of a setup episode.
Very, very, very low. Very set up. It wasn't. Even though there was like a little bit of action, it was more of a misunderstanding action than it was anything else. And then they blew through those droids on that thing really, really way too easily, in my opinion. Okay. Even though it was like, oh, they're going to split them up and they're all going to fight their own little thing, and then it was like one group split up. Everybody else was basically together when they were thinking they're like, oh, we'll save budget if we don't do that, and we'll just have everybody. It's like,
and there was a time constriction too.
Yeah, and it was one of those. So I'll give it a 3 lightsabers if I'm graded against like the whole Star Wars universe. I'll give it a 7 if I'm graded against the previous episode.
Okay, that's fair. I'm going to stick with the 7 for both. If we're looking at it both ways, I like the Padme scene. I like the foreshadowing of Revenge of the Sith. I like the personal relationship that they show between Rex and Skywalker, and actually show that a lot more. I even liked a little bit of humor in here when I think we forgot to cover when Kenobi says, "Tell Padme I said hello," because he knew it was.
Oh yeah, because he asked them what they were doing, and they're like, "Oh, I was just fixing his stuff without you." Oh yeah, he's just fixing my stuff, and he walks out and he goes, "Here's your helmet."
Yep.
You're like, "Oh, he was fixing his stuff," and then he goes, "Well, did you at least tell Padme I said hello?"
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh crap."
He knew the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just like it's like your dad knowing exactly what you're up to the whole time.
Yeah.
It was so little humor like that. I did like like I said, the whole Techno. The ship was cool. The Techno, the Tamor Techno steampunk Star Wars Frankenstein, and the look of Echo hooked up to the machine, I guess. So for those reasons, I'll bump it up to a 7 out of 10. So. Not the best episode, but a decent episode. It remains. We're moving forward. I'm looking forward to the next episode because I think the next episode is going to be much more action packed.
Yeah,
I think.
I mean the thing with Echo kind of reminds me of playing with GI Joes, where the rubber band would break, and so you can come in two pieces, and you're like, how can I make this work? We'll say he's half buried in the sand. Even though he came apart, we'll say he's half buried in the sand, so I can still play with him.
Yeah.
Or his arm came off. He still lives.
Yeah.
He still lives.
He can still fight with one hand.
Yeah, he doesn't need two hands. He's cool.
But I think it's cool that they're bringing Echo back. That they're using something from the past to reintroduce this new kind of storyline, this whole arc. So, but anyway, with that said, one more time before we go. Again, if you want to find us on social media, real quick, the best place to go is where. www.4midwestguys.com. You can find us on Facebook.com/4midwestguys, at 4midwestguys on Twitter. Eggzone, Brian, they can find you there on Twitter. And Stardust, same for me at bwilly1977. 4_Midwest_guys for Instagram. 4midwestguys@gmail.com. You've got the fan voicemail line at 1-859-363-5952. Remember, if we like it, you'll get your voice on air, so make your voice heard.
Yeah. You'll be online, 859-363-5952.
Destination 4 Midwest Guys.
Yes.
So that's your everywhere. That's where you can find us. And don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe, especially on Apple iTunes or
YouTube,
Apple Podcast.
Apple
Podcast. Say
Podcast.
that now. As well as all the other
YouTube,
social media,
iHeartRadio,
especially YouTube. We want to get 100.
Yeah,
so.
we're at 58. I just looked before the podcast.
58, okay.
We're at 58, so we need 42 more.
Over half. So please follow, like, and subscribe. Support us if you like the programming, and do reach out to us. There's plenty of ways, as you can see, to do that. So do that as well. All right, Brian. Well, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, man. Glad to be back.
Welcome back. And this is B. Willie saying, "May the Force be with you always."